This is Anthony Scott Hobbs of Citizen Georgia coming to you live from the Big Shanty Festival here in downtown Kennesaw, where, as Marlon Longacre would say, millions and millions of people are going to be down here this Saturday and Sunday. We've got a number of different live interviews that we're doing down here this weekend. First up for today, David Chastain. David Chastain's running for post 4 of the Cobb County School Board, which encompasses part of the city of Kennesaw. David, why don't we just start off with you giving a couple seconds here of why you're running, a little bit about why you want to be a part of the school board.
Well, Anthony, thank you very much for inviting me today. Well, the reason for running is because I'm concerned about the budget crisis that we've been hearing about for the last, 6 to 9 months with the school board. It started out with like an $80 million deficit. I'm not sure exactly what the deficit's at the moment, but every time we hear the word budget, people start shivering. Teachers start worrying about, am I going to be working or taking another furlough day? And principals have to start worrying about where their funding is going to come from. So that is one of the things that I'm very concerned about. I'm also concerned about supporting our teachers in the classroom, because if the money doesn't get to them, then the kids are the ones who really suffer. So I'm worried about the kids. And student achievement, those are the 3 main things: budgeting, the teacher, student achievement. Because, Anthony, someone pointed out to me, think about it, when a board is elected for 4 years, that's 1/3 of a student's life in the schools, from 1st to 12th grade. And so the board decisions made at one time, they can affect a child's outcomes, especially when it comes to changing the curriculum and that sort of thing.
You know, I want to focus in, if I may, on that $80 million budget deficit. What that really means, when you look at the annual budget of the Cobb County School Board of almost $1 billion, it's almost 10% of their budget. And for some of you that are walking by out there today, or even some of the seniors out here are some of the things that folks are talking about. I want to hear your thoughts on this. For example, if you're a senior here in Cobb County, you're tax exempt from your property taxes. They're talking about, when I say they, those that are out there guiding us, they're talking about getting rid of the senior tax exemption, which means any senior over 62 who has been paying property taxes would be paying property taxes. Or 2, for those that do own property or own a home here in Cobb County, your property taxes may go up. David, what are some of your positions on those?
All right. First of all, there is no reason to get rid of the 62 and up exemption. And one thing, Anthony, let's make sure people know, it's voluntary. When you turn 62, you don't have to take your house and fill out the form and say, I'm through paying taxes. It's voluntary. So if you're 62 and you're on a fixed income and you're trying to pay for all these other expenses, then what happens is you can keep, you can file for the exemption. That's about $1,500, let's say, on average, that you get to keep each year. If you're a very wealthy person, you're not going to miss the $1,500. You're not worried about it, then don't file. The other thing about it is that because it's voluntary and you have to be 62, let's say that someone 62 stays in the home for another 8 to 10 years. That property is going to go back on the tax rolls when the property changes hands to the estate or to children, somebody retires and moves away. So there is no reason to even talk about eliminating that exemption. And the other part you mentioned was the raising of the property taxes. And I don't see why we need to do that. I just, we've got a budget that we can balance. There's a lot of stuff in there that can be examined and pulled out. And by the way, having a new school superintendent, Chris Ragsdale, I think is going to be a breath of fresh air, as someone else said. And I look forward to working with him. I think because he understands operations and he is a nickels and dimes kind of guy, I think that we'll be very successful if we get the right mix of people on the board starting May the 20th.
Now, if memory serves me correctly, you were part of the Facilities and Technology Committee as well. Tell me just a little bit why some of that background, and obviously a little more of your background, what you bring to the table, obviously, for the Cobb County School Board.
For those that don't know, the Facilities and Technology Committee is the citizens committee appointed by board members to oversee the budgets, the expenses, and the plans for administering all of the SPLOST dollars. That's the Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. And so the citizens get together and view what's coming up on the horizon and they work with the board to make recommendations of what to do next. Now, when I was on the board, one of the things that we did was we brought the construction management inside the school district and eliminated a lot of course, it was a recommendation to the board, and the board approved. But the recommendation was, let's do what some of the other systems around Metro Atlanta do. Let's bring the management in. Let's pay our people to management and not the contracts out to another company. And that saved a lot of dollars.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Anthony Scott Hobbs' Citizen Georgia, live and on fire down here at the Big Shanty Festival in downtown Kennesaw. Let's focus on, $1 billion a year for the Cobb County School Board. When it comes to student achievement or raising the bar when it comes to academic reputation for this county, what are some of your thoughts there?
Well, one of my very big concerns is that we've gotten so focused on the big picture, and I'm not saying we shouldn't look at the big picture, but it's becoming down to where it's all about test scores. Is our state better than the next state? Is our country better than the next country? There are kids sitting in every classroom. They're not thinking about these things. They want to succeed. They want to excel. They want to have that relationship with the teacher that's going to help them to figure out what's the combination of skills and educations that's going to take their talents. What are they dreaming about? What do they want to do when they grow up? I have a daughter who just recently graduated from one of our schools, and she said, Daddy, a lot of times in the classroom they're teaching to the test. And to me, we need young people who can graduate knowing how to reason, knowing how to think, knowing how to learn. And the big news that I'm learning in my job as a logistics analyst with a defense contractor is very often when you're handed a new job, you really don't know exactly how to do what you're doing. They put people in a position where you've got to use your reasoning skills and all the experience you've had in the past to figure out, how do I succeed at this job? What do I need to do? They don't just hand it to you on a plate, like I think they're hoping. So student achievement for me is the achievement of that young person. Maybe in the 9th grade, they decide that they want to go one way. And then I've been at an honors assembly where a young lady stands up, she's got a scholarship, she's going to pursue a career in genetics because her 11th grade science teacher inspired her to pursue genetics. And that's the sort of stuff we need happening in every classroom.
You briefly touched on the concept of teaching to the test. I know my wife and I, with kids in school here in Cobb County, can certainly relate to the fact that the kids, when it comes to the CRCT and this upcoming, I think it's in 2 weeks where they'll be testing, but they are being taught the test, obviously emphasizing that. Is there anything that you can think that the board would like to tackle when it comes to student achievement to really kind of get that focus back on play, or is that more under the superintendent administration? What are your thoughts there?
Okay. It just so happens that last night, when I was trying to relax, I was reading through some of the board policies. And that is something that, let me just stop for a second and say, the board works through the superintendent, a shared vision. The board says, these are the goals we would like to achieve. The superintendent and his or her staff, and in this case his staff, they come back with the rules and the goals of, okay, this is how we can get there. So it's a cooperative, collaborative effort. And I think that that's what you'll be seeing. But now let me remind people, we've got a lot of things that flow through us from the federal government that basically are mandated. You don't get a big choice. And then we've got stuff flowing from the legislature and the governor's office. Because the Cobb County School District is a district of the state school system. So the people on the board and the superintendent have to manage the demands of the higher level governments with the needs and the and the goals of the local students and teachers.
I know we've just got about 30 seconds left. If somebody was just tuning in to the show right now, why should they hire you for Cobb County School Board?
Well, for several reasons. Starting with my business background, I am a logistics analyst. I work with budgets every day. Part of my job is to make things happen, to meet the schedules, to meet the budgets, to look for the gotchas. After somebody sat down and planned something, you've got to be ready for that one thing you didn't plan on. That's part of what I do. I've been a parent in the Cobb County schools for, I believe it's 21, 22 years. I've worked with the Cobb County Schools as a volunteer for 23 years. After our daughter graduated from her high school, my wife and I stayed on one more year to support the Chorus Booster Board because we liked the program that was happening there. I'm a Cobb County boy that grew up in East Marietta, graduated from Wheeler High School, married to a Wheeler girl, and when I travel, and by the way, in previous parts of my career, I did travel all over the state. At one time, I traveled 11 states, working with businesses and distribution, supply chain, manufacturing, distribution. All right, I have seen the necessary skills needed for entrepreneurs, for small business and big business, and that's part of what I bring to the table with the school board.
We want to thank David Chastain for being on the show today. Thanks, David. And I think coming up here in about 10 minutes, we've got former Congressman Bob Barr live on Citizen Georgia.
And if I may add, thank you, and votedavidchastain.com.